I always believed I was the center of the universe. When you grow up in Moscow as a tall, blonde, green-eyed model who gets stopped in the street for photos even on a bad hair day, humility isn't exactly included in your starter pack. People praised my cheekbones more than my kindness. They adored my strut more than my heart. My life was runway shows, brand deals, Paris, Milan, Dubai, Tokyo, repeat. And then I got an email inviting me to do a tourism campaign in the Philippines. The Philippines. Where was that? I barely knew anything except the beaches, the storms, and the fact that Manny Pacquiao punched people for a living. But the paycheck was huge, and my manager told me I needed a fresh cultural reset because the international modeling scene was whispering that I was becoming difficult. Difficult? Me? I simply expected perfection. If that made me difficult, then maybe perfection was difficult for them. So I accepted. A 1-month brand project shooting across the Philippines. Easy, quick money, sunshine, probably boring. Oh, I was so painfully wrong. The Philippines humbled me before I even got out of the airport. My flight landed in Manila at 3:14 a.m., and the moment I stepped out, the humidity slapped me like a jealous ex. My hair, carefully blow-dried in Moscow, turned into an abandoned cotton candy within minutes. My makeup melted like cheap ice cream. The Philippine air felt like someone boiled a sauna and forgot to turn it off. And then a Filipina, petite, morena, a warm smile that could unfreeze Siberia, approached me with a sign that said, "Welcome, Anastasia." "Hi, I'm Leah," she said cheerfully. "I'll be your PA for the whole trip. How was your flight?" I forced a smile, even though I already felt annoyed. "Long, hot. I need cold water and air conditioning, and..." She handed me a cold bottled water before I finished the sentence. I blinked. She anticipated it? "And here's a portable fan," she added, switching it on and gently handing it to me like a princess accessory. Who carries portable fans? Filipinos, apparently. Then she gave me something wrapped in banana leaves. I frowned. "What is this?" "Suman," she said proudly. "Sticky rice, Filipino plain landing classic. You need the carbs. Trust me." I held the tightly wrapped rice log. It looked suspicious. "Is it sweet?" "Yes." "Carbs and sugar at 3 a.m.? I asked. She giggled. Filipino metabolism doesn't follow rules. Despite myself, I laughed. But as we walked toward the van, my arrogance returned. I towered over everyone, literally. I strutted with confidence, overly conscious of the whispers. "Ang tangkad niya." "She's so tall." "Model siguro." "Miss Universe ba yan?" Miss Universe. Cute. Not even close. Not even in the same galaxy. We got into the van, and Leah kept chatting with this unstoppable bright energy, while I silently judged everything. The roads looked chaotic, the weather looked angry, and everyone just smiled. Why were they smiling at 3 a.m.? Was there something in the Philippine air? When we arrived at the hotel, I walked to the counter like royalty. "Name?" the receptionist asked. I removed my sunglasses dramatically. It was still dark outside. "Anastasia Volkov." She typed something. "Oh, ma'am, it seems you're booking." "My suite," I corrected. "Ocean view." "Yes, ma'am, but the system says..." I leaned in. "I flew 12 hours. Fix it." Leah stepped between us gently. "Ma'am, don't worry, I'll handle it. You can sit down. Here, have another fan." Another fan? Why did I feel borderline insulted and simultaneously cared for? 15 minutes later, the room was ready. The ocean view was breathtaking. The city lights glimmered like jewelry. But I was still annoyed. Everything felt slow. That was the thing about me. If it didn't move at runway speed, I considered it broken. The next morning, we went straight to the first shoot, Intramuros in Manila. And this is where my humiliation began. I strutted like I owned the entire Spanish-era city. I posed under the arches, walked along cobblestone roads, tossed my hair at the horse-drawn carriages. People watched. Some took photos. Everything was going smoothly until a group of high school students passed by. I heard giggles, soft laughter, whispers. I turned my head slightly. Why are they laughing? Leah looked at me calmly. They're not laughing at you. But my pride was choking me. How do you know? Then Leia walked up to the girls and talked to them in Tagalog. She pointed at me with a smile. They all giggled again. I glared. See? They're laughing. No, they're starstruck, Leia explained. They think you look like someone. Who? I smirked. Some celebrity? Supermodel? No, Leia said softly. They think you look like Miss Universe. I froze. Miss Universe? How dare they insult Miss Universe like that? That woman is a goddess. I am merely extremely beautiful. But before I could respond, Leia added, Actually, you remind me of her too. My ego snapped. I'm not Miss Universe, I said sharply. I would never degrade myself by competing on stage in a swimsuit next to other women. Leia blinked. Then her face changed. Not offended, just disappointed. Oh, she said quietly. I see. But she didn't argue, defend, or correct me. She simply walked away. I felt something uncomfortable. Guilt, maybe regret, unclear. Later, during lunch, she brought me a plate of Filipino food. Adobo, pancit, lumpia. I looked at it with mild horror. This looks simple, she shrugged. Simple is good. I poked the food. Adobo? It looks oily. She smiled. Oily is good too. Against my will, I took a bite. My eyes widened. It tasted like a hug. A warm, savory, soul-touching hug. I tried to hide my surprise. This is fine. Leia laughed. That's Filipino for masarap. The shoot continued, but slowly, painfully, I realized everyone liked Leia more than they liked me. She wasn't tall, she wasn't glamorous, she didn't have 1 million followers. But when she walked, people smiled. When she spoke, people listened. When she laughed, even the horses in Intramuros looked happier. Meanwhile, I posed like a Greek statue and people barely cared. Something inside me cracked. A tiny insecurity, a small jealousy, a quiet shame. Who was this Filipina, and why was the universe bending toward her? Later that evening, we moved to Cebu for another shoot. The plane was small, the airport was warm, and my patience was very short. When we arrived at the hotel, there was a group of tourists taking photos in the lobby. I wanted to pass quickly, but one of them stepped in front of me and accidentally nudged my arm. Oops, sorry, Po, he said. I rolled my eyes. Watch where you're going. The group fell silent. Leia whispered, Ma'am. He said sorry. I know, but he should look at where he's walking. Leia inhaled, frustrated but composed. I saw it, that shift in her eyes. She was starting to see the real me. Dinner was silent that night. The next morning, we took a boat to a small island for a beach shoot. Powder blue waters, white sand, palm trees, postcard perfection. But halfway through the shoot, a sudden rainstorm appeared. A strong one, wind, strong waves, crew running everywhere. I was panicking. My hair, my makeup, my expensive swimsuit, my dignity. The boat crew shouted instructions. Everyone rushed to secure equipment. I stood there helplessly, expecting someone to assist me. But no one did, except Leia. She grabbed my hand. Come on, we need to get you inside the hut. What hut? I don't do huts. You do now. She pulled me almost violently, and we dashed toward a small beach hut made of bamboo and nipa leaves. The rain poured like buckets. The wind howled like a hairdryer from hell. Inside the hut, soaked, shivering, makeup ruined, I felt stripped of everything. Leia looked at me, breathless. You okay? I felt something tighten in my chest. A thank you, but it wouldn't come out. My pride sealed my lips. Leia took a towel and gently placed it over my shoulders. You know, she said softly, you don't always have to be strong. I swallowed hard. I'm not strong, I whispered. She smiled sadly. Yeah, I know. The storm passed after 40 minutes, but something inside me didn't. Because while we waited, I noticed Leia scrolling on her phone. Not Instagram, not Facebook, not TikTok, YouTube, a compilation of Miss Universe performances, all Miss Universe, all pageants, all queens. I frowned. You like Miss Universe? Leah looked at me with a soft, mysterious smile. You could say that. There was something in her eyes, something familiar, something I couldn't place, but she didn't explain, not yet. On the boat ride back, a little girl approached her shyly. 8, can I take picture with you? With me, I assumed. But no, with Leah. She smiled warmly. Of course. I sat there stunned. Why did a stranger want a picture with her? Who was she? That night, I searched her name online. Just curiosity, just a little Google search. Leah Ramos, millions of results. I blinked. I sat up. My jaw dropped. My breath froze. I stared at the screen, reading over and over and over. Leah Ramos, former Miss Universe, quietly left public life, now working privately in the Philippines. The article explained, she won Miss Universe years ago, one of the most beloved queens, a global humanitarian, a symbol of humility, a woman adored by millions, and now, she was my assistant. A Miss Universe was carrying my water bottles, holding my bag, handing me portable fans, getting soaked in the storm for me, listening to my tantrums, smiling through my arrogance, and she never said a word. I felt heat rise in my chest. My entire face burned. I wasn't humbled by a Filipina. I was humbled by Miss Universe, and she didn't even need a crown to do it. I closed my laptop slowly. I felt small, smaller than I had ever felt in my entire life. And for the first time, I realized I needed to change. But I had no idea how deeply she would transform my life. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, my ego tossed around like clothes in a washing machine. The truth was sitting on my chest like a fat cat. I had been rude, entitled, and sometimes downright awful to Miss Universe, a woman the world admired, a woman who had represented her country with grace, a woman who had every right to correct me, clap back, or even quit the job. But she never did. She served me with humility I didn't deserve. At 7 a.m., I forced myself out of bed, showered, and rehearsed an apology in the mirror. Leah, I'm sorry. No, too robotic. Leah, I didn't know. Ugh, weak. Leah, please don't throw me into the ocean. Nothing sounded right. I eventually decided to improvise, mostly because if I practiced any longer, I'd just give up entirely and move back to Russia in shame. When I stepped into the lobby, I saw her, hair tied, simple shirt, jeans, clipboard in hand, talking politely to the hotel staff. She smiled when she saw me. Not the smile of someone angry, not the smile of someone offended. The same warm, gentle smile she always gave me. My guilt doubled. Morning, Ma'am Anastasia, she greeted. I flinched. The ma'am felt like a dagger. I took a deep breath. Leah, can we talk? She nodded and walked with me to the side patio overlooking the waves. I Googled you last night, I blurted. She froze for a second, then laughed softly. I figured. You're Miss Universe, I said, as if she didn't already know. Former, she corrected gently. You're a queen. I'm a person, she said, just like you. I was rude, I confessed. Terrible, unbearable, a walking tornado of bad attitude. She laughed. A cute tornado. Cute? I blinked. I insulted your food. Filipinos recover from that quickly, she teased. We feed you more. I felt tears prick my eyes. I didn't cry. Russian models don't cry. We squint dramatically and call it intense emotion. Why didn't you tell me? I asked softly. She looked out at the water. Because when people hear the title Miss Universe, they treat me differently. They over-respect me, over-praise me. I didn't want that here. I just wanted to work and meet you as you. I inhaled sharply. You wanted to meet me? She nodded. Yes, I watched your interviews. You're talented, beautiful, but I also knew you needed someone who wouldn't be scared of you. I blinked. You weren't scared of me? She laughed. Scared? My friend, I've walked in front of millions wearing a swimsuit. I can handle one tall Russian woman with diva energy. I choked on my own breath. But she added gently. I didn't expect you to be so... guarded. Guarded, I repeated. Yes, she said. People aren't born arrogant. They build walls to protect something. I looked away. The walls I built were tall, maybe taller than me. Before I could respond, a group of Filipino kids ran toward our table. "Ate Leah!" they shouted. "Ate Leah! Selfie po!" She squatted down, hugged them, joked with them, took photos, and the love in their eyes was blinding. She wasn't just Miss Universe, she was Miss Universe of hearts. And they loved her not for the crown, but for her kindness. Then they noticed me. Tall. Barbie. Maybe she's Miss Universe too? I almost corrected them, almost. But Leah laughed and pulled me gently into the group. "Smile," she whispered. The kids squeezed against me, laughing, shouting, hugging. Somewhere inside me, a crack formed. Not the bad kind, the good kind. The kind that lets light in. After the kids left, we began the day's shoot. We traveled to a small barangay by the sea for a cultural scene. Fresh fish markets, local fishermen, boats painted with eyes to ward off storms. The moment we arrived, a fisherman approached Leah excitedly. "Ma'am, you came back." She hugged him like family. I just stood there awkwardly, holding a parasol like a Victorian ghost. Then the fisherman noticed me. He smiled warmly. "You hungry?" I blinked. "I'm okay." He placed 2 pieces of grilled fish in my hands. "Eat, you too skinny." My soul left my body. Leah burst into laughter. I bit into the fish to be polite. And, oh my God. It tasted like heaven smacked me. Smoky, savory, perfect. I inhaled it like a starving bear. Leah watched me laughing. "Good? Good?" I gulped. "I want to marry this fish." The fisherman gave me a thumbs up. "We adopt you na. You stay here." "See?" Leah teased. "Filipinos will adopt you for food." The funniest part? I didn't mind. We spent the afternoon on a bangsa boat, shooting scenes of me discovering Filipino island life. At one point, Leah held my hand as I tried not to fall into the water. "You're scared of the ocean?" she asked. "I'm scared of dying on camera," I replied. She squeezed my hand. "You're safe." The simple gesture did something to me. Something warm, unfamiliar. Later that evening, the barangay invited us to a small dinner by the shore. The sun was setting, children running around, the smell of grilled seafood in the air. And then someone brought out a karaoke machine. I froze. "What is that?" Leah smirked. "Your destiny." Before I could escape, someone shoved a microphone into my hand and pressed the number 28. The music blasted. A familiar tune, a power ballad. My eyes widened. "No, no, no, no. And I will always love you." Whitney. Of course. Why not ruin the most iconic song in human history? I tried to sing. A dying goat would have sounded better. But Filipinos didn't laugh. They cheered. They clapped. They screamed, "Woo!" Even when I cracked like knees on cold weather. Leah laughed so hard she cried. I pointed at her dramatically. "Your turn." "No," she said quickly. "Yes," I insisted. "No, no." But the crowd already chanted her name. "Leah! Leah! Leah!" Then someone pressed 46. The music began. A soft, familiar intro. A Celine Dion song. I gasped. "Don't tell me." She blushed. "I haven't sang in years." But when she opened her mouth, her voice was like velvet dipped in sunlight. Clear, soft, effortless. The entire barangay fell silent. She wasn't just Miss Universe. She sounded like Miss Symphony. When she finished, the crowd erupted. Kids danced around her. Elders clapped. The fisherman whistled. And me? I stared like an idiot. When she returned to our table, I whispered, "You're perfect." She shook her head. "No, just practiced." "But why hide it?" I asked. "Not everything needs to be shown," she replied. "Some things are just mine." Something inside me softened like warm butter. After dinner, we walked along the shore barefoot, The moon reflected on the water, and the waves kissed the sand like quiet applause. "Leah," I said slowly, "I want to change." She looked at me, not with surprise, but with understanding. "You already are." "No," I whispered. "Not enough." She smiled. "Anna, change doesn't happen like a storm. It happens like a sunrise. Slowly, softly, but it always happens." I swallowed hard. "Do you forgive me for being horrible?" She nudged my shoulder. "You were never horrible, just hurting." That broke me. A soft, quiet break. The kind where the shards turn into flowers. We continued walking, side by side. No cameras, no lights, no fans. Just two women. One learning humility, one teaching it without trying. On our last day of shooting, the agency surprised us. They wanted a final shot of me and Leah, together. A symbolic ending. Beauty icons of two countries. She hesitated, but the crew insisted. The barangay insisted. Even the ocean breeze seemed to chant, "Go, go, go." So she agreed. We stood side by side in the golden hour light. I expected to overshadow her. I was taller, after all, more model-esque, more camera-trained. But when the photographer lifted the lens, it was Leah who glowed. Not the fake glow of ring lights or makeup, but the glow of a woman loved by the world. After the shoot, I asked her something I'd been scared to ask. "What made you quit being Miss Universe?" She looked at the horizon. "I wanted to be myself again. Not the idea people had of me. Not the symbol. Not the queen." She smiled softly. "I think I found myself here. Helping people. Helping you." "Helping me?" I said. "I'm a nightmare." "You're a lesson," she corrected. "For both of us." Then she said something that felt like a punch wrapped in a hug. "You remind me of who I used to be." I stared at her. "You were like me?" "In some ways, yes," she answered. "Beautiful, confident, but too focused on proving something, too scared to be soft." "And now?" She smiled at me. "Now I choose softness. It's stronger." When the project ended, we hugged tightly. Not a polite hug, a real one, the kind you feel in your ribs. "I'm going back to Russia next week," I said quietly. "I know. I don't want to." She chuckled. "Why not?" "I think the Philippines softened me too." She squeezed my hand. "Then take that softness with you." I took a deep breath. "I don't want this to be goodbye." "It's not," she said. "You know where to find me." Then she whispered something in my ear. "A true queen doesn't need a crown, just a good heart." When I boarded my plane home, I wasn't the same woman who arrived weeks ago. My ego stayed in the Philippines. My arrogance dissolved into the ocean. My heart, lighter, softer, human. And as the plane took off, I made a promise to myself. I would return. Not as an arrogant model, but as a better woman. A woman shaped, humbled, transformed by a Filipina they once called Miss Universe. And the most surprising part? To me, she still is.